Okay, welcome everybody to today's class. We're going to be looking at phrasal verb clusters today. And what I mean by phrasal verb clusters, I mean groups of phrasal verbs which I've grouped into different categories. I think it's easier to remember vocabulary if you group them into different categories. Yeah, if you have one category and you try and remember as many phrasal verbs there. In fact, I think this is good for learning any vocabulary. Language is like a web, and it's really quite handy to make links between different words and put them together into different groups. It really helps to remember them. Well, it certainly helps me to remember these phrasal verbs, but it helps me with foreign languages as well. Now, with the first cluster we're going to look at is going to be decorate, but I want to explain that there are many of these clusters. I actually put this as a section at the back of the book, which is going to be coming out soon, and it's at the back of the book, this section. And it's in order to revise, to repeat a lot of the phrasal verbs that you've already seen in some of the earlier chapters. So if you're waiting for that book, and sorry, I can see there's a light on the screen, so I'm going to turn off my monitor. That should get rid of it. That book should be coming out in a week or in 2 weeks, and I'll let you all know, of course, straight away, naturally. So this is really a revision class. It's to revise all of those phrasal verbs that we've already done in the book. So I'm going to give you some examples here, and I hope that it will help keep this vocabulary fresh in your mind. So if a girl dolls herself up, or a guy spruces himself up, and that's something that's quite important, you need the someone in here, doll someone up. She dolled herself up, he dolled himself up. This one's normally female, this one's normally male, and it means to prepare yourself for a night out. You dress up and you make yourself look as attractive as possible. So yeah, doll yourself up or spruce yourself up, very similar to dress up, but it also involves, I mean, for a woman, it will very often involve putting on makeup, for example. That would be included in when she dolls herself up. A guy might put on some aftershave or something like that. He's sprucing himself up. Okay, if you jazz something up, you make it more exciting than it actually is. And the same goes for sex something up. Okay, so the same goes for sex something up. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take questions at the end, guys. I will take questions, even if they're not about phrasal verbs. I'll take questions today, but I'll take them at the end of the class. Otherwise, I get distracted. The comments put me off the board. So if you jazz something up or sex something up, you make it more exciting in some kind of way. So there's all sorts of things that you can do this to. They collocate with a lot of different nouns, and it just means to make something more exciting. So if you're writing a book and you decide to jazz it up, you make it more exciting in some kind of way. Maybe you add a few interesting elements into the plot. Okay, now if you do something up, and yet the something is in here, I should have put it in there when I wrote them out, being honest, but if you do something up, then you're decorating. Very often we use this for houses. We need to do up our kitchen, we need to do up the bathroom upstairs, and that would mean maybe put up some new wallpaper, or if you don't like wallpaper, I must admit I don't like wallpaper, it might mean taking down the old wallpaper and painting the walls, or putting up some tiles, something like that. So there are a lot of different things you can do to do up your house. You might also change the floor. So you might put down a new floor and rip out the old floor. Notice how many times I can use these phrasal verbs in simple sentences. And it is because we learn these phrasal verbs before we learn the more complicated Latin forms or something like that. We learn these phrasal verbs as kids. And if you listen to any kids' songs, you'll see that. Okay, and if you dress up, you put on your best clothes for a night out, something like that. So if you're dolling yourself up or sprucing yourself up, you're also dressing up for sure. Okay, so that's my persuade. Oh, and I forgot one of them actually. Do something out in. If you do your house out in a Victorian style, that means you decorate it in a Victorian style. But you can also do the room out in blue, and that means that you use the colour blue as the main colour in that room when you decorate it. So you could do this with a style or a colour, but it's also a useful one for decorate. Okay, if we come on to persuade now, if you win someone over, you manage to persuade them. Okay, they are completely persuaded. So they're not persuaded first of all, but you tell them some things which persuade them to see things from your perspective. Okay, so you win that person over. But that is an exact synonym of the next one. You bring that person round. Okay, you bring someone round when you persuade them. So these mean persuade. I won him over, I persuaded him. I brought him round, I talked him round. They all mean persuade. And remember that come phrasal verbs very often are the same as bring phrasal verbs, but they're intransitive. So you can bring someone round or he comes round. Yeah, you can win someone over or he comes round. He starts to see things from your perspective. So come round is the same as bring someone round, but it's intransitive. There's no someone in the middle, but bring someone round, there certainly is an object there. Same with talk someone round. Okay, you can talk someone into doing something, and you can talk someone out of doing something. And of course, that means persuade, but this one means dissuade. Yeah, dissuade. So you could say persuade or dissuade. I'm not sure I've spelt that right now. Is it two S's or one S? I think it's one S, but I'm not 100%. So if somebody could quickly look that up for me in a dictionary, yeah, look it up. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, if you suck up to someone or crawl up to someone or play up to someone, you are trying to be nice to that person to get them on your side, to perhaps because you want something from them. So this is why I've included it in persuasion. I think it's connected to persuasion. When you suck up to someone or crawl up to someone or play up to someone, you're being really nice to try to persuade them to do something. Okay, it is two S's. Okay, I was right the first time. Thank you. Okay, so get round someone. If you try and get round someone, you're trying to persuade them in some kind of way. Very often you might try to get round your boss. Maybe you want a day off, so you need to win him over, right? You need to make sure that he will give you that day off. So to try to get round him, maybe you're really nice to him, maybe you're really polite to him, maybe you suck up to him. So this one's very similar to the previous three, get round someone. And we even have an idiom here, which is with a phrasal verb, and it's to wrap someone round your little finger. If you can wrap someone round your little finger, you can manipulate them by being nice to them and getting them on your side. So I hope that you all have really nice bosses out there and they're easy for you to wrap them round your little finger, because that means they're easily manipulated. That's really what it means. Okay, there's also a section down here right at the bottom called find something or someone by chance, and there are a lot here. If you find an object by chance, yeah, there's object here, you happen on something, you stumble on something, you chance on something, or you can chance upon something, happen upon something, stumble upon something. And it means find that thing accidentally. The only difference between upon and on is upon is more formal and on is less formal. That's the only difference. So both are possible here, and it all means find an object by chance. You can also come by something, which is synonymous. It's exactly the same. If you come by an old watch in the market and you buy it, it means you find that old watch by chance, okay? And if you come across something in the market, you find it by chance. If you stumble across something or run across something, you find that object by chance. So all of these were for objects, all of these here, they're for objects. But then what about when you meet people by chance? Sometimes you meet people by chance, and when you meet someone by chance, you run into someone or bump into someone. Okay, so you might say, I ran into an old friend in the middle of town yesterday, or you might say, I bumped into my old headmaster in the middle of the street, something like that. Okay, so that's already a lot of phrasal verbs, as you can see, for find something by chance, so try to remember those as a group. These are all about a breakdown in relations, and most of these are about romantic relations, but you can use some of them for international relations. So somebody might break off their marriage or their engagement, and they'll do this if they're unhappy with their partner or spouse. If they're offended by something that they've done and they want to get divorced, then they break off the marriage. But maybe they're just engaged, but they realise they start arguing, they're not happy with each other, there are fights. They might break off the engagement, okay? Now this one you can use for international relations. You can say that Germany has broken off relations with North Korea, something like that. It's not true, I'm not trying to get political, it's just an example. One country breaks off relations with another country. Okay, now if your marriage or your engagement breaks down, you can see this one is intransitive. Yeah, it doesn't have an object. That's what that means. It's intransitive. So you just say his engagement broke down, his marriage broke down, and it means he got divorced, that unfortunately the marriage didn't work, or just that the engagement didn't work, so he didn't get married in the end. Okay. If you break up with someone, and that part is unnecessary, you can just say, unfortunately, my girlfriend and I broke up last week, yeah? Or we split up last week. So it doesn't have to have an object, but if you want to say who you broke up with, you can use an object. You can say, I broke up with her last week, or she split up with me last week, something like that. Okay? So those three are all very similar, but they're all used in different ways. So try to memorize how they're used. Walk out on someone. This is when you're married for a long time and then suddenly one person leaves. They walk out on their family. They walk out on their children, perhaps, or something like that. And it means they leave forever. So if you say his wife walked out on him, or he walked out on his wife, one of them just suddenly disappeared and wasn't heard of again. If you cheat on someone, you have an affair. So you have a lover as well as the husband or wife. So cheat on someone, it means to play away, which is what we're going to look at in a moment. But cheating, it involves another person. It's when you're not faithful to your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance. If you finish with someone, this is just like break up with someone. Finish with someone. He finished with her when he found out that she was cheating on him. Something like that. And if you play away, you are cheating on your partner. But this one is intransitive again. Intransitive. You cheat on someone, but you just play away. Intransitive, no object. Okay, if you lose or gain consciousness, we have a lot of phrasal verbs here, mostly involving out and round, and also to. But if you pass out or black out, you faint, you lose consciousness. Okay, it's another word for losing consciousness. And if you say he lost consciousness, it's much more formal than he passed out, he blacked out. This is what most English people say when they want to say he fainted. Faint is another good word as well. It's not a phrasal verb. But pass out or black out is also possible for when you lose consciousness, and very common. Now, if you are a boxer, you knock someone out with a punch. The same for lay someone out. These both mean to make someone lose consciousness with a punch. Please put that question at the end if you want it answered. Sorry about that, I just can't answer it now. Now, if the boxer has knocked out his opponent, the doctors or the first aiders, I don't know what they're called around the boxing ring, they might jump into the ring and try to bring the man round. They might try to bring him to, and they might try to use smelling salts or something like that, something with a particular pungent aroma that will suddenly wake the boxer up. So you can bring someone round or bring someone to. But again, remember what I said about bring and come, that bring takes an object very often, and then come is the intransitive form. Exactly the same here. You can bring the boxer round, or the boxer came round. The boxer came to. Both of those would mean that the boxer woke up again. He regained consciousness. Okay, so on to the last groups. Flirting now. This is kind of all connected to sexual excitement, really. If you come on to someone, then you are attempting to chat them up. It's basically seduction. All three of these involve seduction. You are seducing someone when you come on to someone or hit on someone or chat someone up. You may not be successful. They may not be interested, but this means you are trying to seduce that person. Yeah, so you may come on to someone and they just try to get rid of you straight away. Now, there are a few nouns here. If something is a turn off, then it disgusts you. And this certainly means in a sexual way, it disgusts you. It's not sexy at all, let's say. It's a turn off. But if something is a turn on, then it excites you. It's the complete opposite of a turn off. It's what you get off on. It turns you on. Okay, so it's exciting. It's exciting in a sexual way as well. So turn someone on, it means it excites them, and turn someone off, it repulses them, it disgusts them in some kind of way. So I'm sure everybody has certain behaviour that they find a turn off, and everyone has certain behaviour that turns them on. And everybody's different, I suppose, with this kind of thing. If somebody gets off on something, they find that something particularly exciting. So this is just like turn someone on. They're synonymous, really. But this tells you what turns them on, and this just tells you that turns someone on. So they are used in a different way again. This is get off on something. This is something turns you on. Okay, and if you lead someone on, then this means you are playing with their feelings. You are toying with that person. I could have put toy with here as well, toy with someone, or toy with someone's feelings. This is also in the phrasal verb book. So if you lead someone on, you pretend basically that you're in love with them or that you're very much attracted to them, but actually you're not. You're just pretending and you're toying with their feelings for whatever reason. So it's not a very nice thing to do. This is certainly negative, to lead someone on or to toy with someone. Hold on to something, and I mean hold on like grab on. There are at least these four. You can hold on to something, hang on to something, cling on to something, grab on to something. These last two in particular sound very strong to me, like cling on, grab on. So I remember when I was a kid, whenever we went for a drive, my mum would cling onto the seat in front of her, and it was because she was terrified of being in the car. So she would cling onto the seat, she would grab onto the seat. Latch onto something is similar to these three. It does mean to firmly attach yourself to something, but I think it's less likely to involve your hands. It's very often used metaphorically. When somebody is hanging around with a group of people, he latches onto them, and especially if they don't want him around. If they want to go and do their own thing, they don't want him hanging around, that person is latching onto them to try to stay with them, to try to stay firmly attached to them, but they probably want to get rid of him. So that's one way that one's used. But you might say the parasite latches onto, or the antibodies latch onto the bacteria or the parasite, and then you notice there's no hands there, but they firmly attach themselves. So latch onto it, it does mean to firmly attach yourself to something. Clutch at and grab at is desperation. It's when you're grabbing or clutching and you're desperate to hold on to something. So maybe you're falling from a great height and you clutch and grab at branches. Maybe you've fallen out of a tree and you're clutching and grabbing at the branches. But there is also a very famous idiom, to clutch at straws. And if you're clutching at straws, you are ready to try anything to save yourself from a desperate situation. Yeah, you're in a terrible situation and you're ready to try anything as a solution. And then you're clutching at straws, you're trying anything. Okay, if you inform on someone, you take that person to the police station and tell the police that they are guilty, or you just go to the police station and tell them that you know who committed the crime and it's that person. And that would mean you're ratting on that person, snitching on that person, informing on that person, grassing on that person, and also we can say you're grassing that person up. You can also say you're turning that person in. You can also say you're turning that person over to the police, turning them over to the authorities. So we have loads for informing on someone. And if you are a kid at school and you go to the teacher and tell the teacher that somebody is doing something wrong, you tell on your fellow pupil, you tell on your classmate. So this one is for schools, when you inform the teacher about some kind of bad behaviour. Okay, so that's all I've got for you for today. If you've got any questions at all about any topics, I really don't mind today. If you have a question, now is the time to put it up, because now I don't have the board distracting me, or, you know, I have to kind of look at the board and think about that. Great books. Well, I mean, there are so many books, Paulina, that I don't know if I could narrow it down and just pick one from the large number of books that there are out there. Personally, for English grammar, I like Murphy, but I mean, it depends what you're looking for. If you're a TEFL student, you really want to use Murphy and make sure that you understand that. The school would have finished by now. I need that again, Jackie. I need that to come up again, because I didn't really understand the question there with would have. Generally speaking, would have is for third conditional. Yeah, you can dob someone in. Excellent. Somebody just mentioned dob someone in, and that is in the book, actually. I just forgot to put it here. You can turn someone in or dob someone in. So that was a very good suggestion. The Polish website, it wasn't Polish. It's a website called Random English Blogspot. Write it into Google, Random English Blogspot, and you will find that website. It's by a guy called Warsaw Will, and I imagine that he was a TEFL teacher in Poland, and that's where he picked up that nickname. But it's an ordinary website, an English website, if you like. It's by an English guy. I think he's Scottish, actually, so I don't know if he's English, but he's great. Fantastic website, Random Idea English Blogspot. Write it into Google, you'll find it straight away. But a very good website. Give me an example of a past deduction. Usually it's must have, might have, can't have. I can't think of a time when you'd use would have, but you can in third conditional. I have stumbled upon, come across, used for people. Yeah, you might occasionally see it for people. I came across my headmaster, but I would never say that. It seems to me that you're better to use the distinction that I've just given you, which is come across something, but bump into or run into someone. I would never say I came across my headmaster, but maybe. I don't want to say you'll never see it. Maybe in some books you'll see it like that. But generally speaking, come across something is more common. But I suppose, yeah, you could occasionally see that with someone. So it's a good question. Any other questions that you have, guys? Please, now is the time. I'll give you a few more seconds, but after that, I'm afraid I'll have to get back to online teaching. There's no difference between hate and loathe, they're the same. I heard someone say, can I come up on a number? Definitely not correct with that one, I'm afraid. Come up on a number doesn't mean anything to me. Break up a fight. Break up a fight is the correct collocation for fighting. You break two people up. You break them up. You break up a fight. Lay down the rules is good, and I have come across lay out the rules. I don't usually say lay out the rules, I see lay down the rules. What is the difference between, he claims that he's from the UK? Well, he claims that he's from the UK, he might not be, he might be fibbing, he might be lying, but he is from the UK, just says that he is an Englishman, he's from the UK. So a claim may be true, it may be untrue. Any more questions, guys? No? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to put up a poll later to see, is Spice Up? Yeah, Spice Up's very similar to Jazz Up. Very, very similar to Jazz Up. I agree. That's another one that could go in that group, and you should write it down in that group to make it easier to remember. Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to put up a poll later today to find out what time people prefer to see these live lessons, because I can get it sorted so that it comes up the same time every week, so that it's a good time for everybody to come and we get as many people as possible to the live class. So I'll put up a poll about that later today, and if you're interested in getting the time which is convenient for you, make sure you vote on that poll. Okay? Just vote on that poll, and then maybe, you know, the more votes there are for your time, the more likely I am to do it at that time. But I'll try to choose a time which is more convenient for the most people. Okay, thanks everybody for watching then. I hope to see you all soon.